Hey everyone, welcome to this video tutorial. In this lecture, we are going to explain how to install GitLab on Ubuntu 24.04. GitLab is an open source web-based Git repository that allows developers to host both open and private repositories. In addition, it's a complete DevOps tool that enables developers to manage repositories, sort out code issues, CI/CD pipelines, and so much more. We have the GitLab Enterprise Edition, alright, also known as GitLab EE, and also GitLab Community Edition, also known as gitlab-ce. Now the Community Edition is free and open source, and in this post we are going to primarily focus on installation of GitLab Community Edition. So to get started, here's a list of what you need. So you need an instance of Ubuntu 24.04 with SSH access, and it's more preferred if you have a domain name pointing to your server instance for the purpose of configuring SSL certificate. Also, you need an instance with at least 2 GB of RAM, 2 virtual CPUs or more, and of course you need internet connectivity. So with that out of the way, now let's get our hands dirty and install GitLab Community Edition on Ubuntu 24.04. The first step to installing GitLab on Ubuntu 24.04 is to ensure that your package lists are updated or up to date. And to do so, on your terminal, run the command sudo apt update. Hit enter. So this will update the local cache. Alright, so we are done. Now the next step is to install the dependencies that will be required during the installation of GitLab on Ubuntu 24.04. So we're going to install a couple of dependencies. So I'm going to run the command sudo apt install. We're going to install the curl package. All right, so this is used for downloading files on the internet. So we are then going to install openssh-server. Then we are going to install CA certificates. And finally, we are going to install postfix, which is a mail server. All right. So those are the dependencies we need to install. So hit enter. All right. So to continue with the installation, just press Y on your keyboard and hit enter. All right. So you'll get this postfix notification or configuration notification on your screen below. So to select the mail configuration, we are going to go with the default selection, which has already been pre-selected, and this is the internet site. So I'm just going to hit enter. All right, so here I'm going to provide the system email. So I'm going to use my domain name. All right, so in this case, my domain name is gitlab.linuxtechie.org. All right, so gitlab.linuxtechie.org. So be sure to provide your own system mail. All right, then I'm going to press tab to select OK. Then I'm going to hit enter to proceed with the installation. All right, so as you can see, the installation is progressing. So just give it a few seconds. And there we go, we are done. And we have managed to install all the prerequisites. Okay, now I'm going to clear the screen. Now the second step, we are going to add the GitLab APT repository. Okay, and to do so, on your terminal, we are going to run the following command. All right, so I'm going to copy this command here that I have on my notepad. So this is going to download the installation script and run it. So I'm going to copy this and I'm going to paste it on my terminal like that. All right, so I'm going to hit enter. So this is what you're going to get on your screen. So this automates the installation of GitHub repository. So as you can see, the repository is set up. Okay, now once the repository has been set up, the next step is to install GitLab, and we can do so simply by running the command sudo apt install GitLab community edition like that. So I'm gonna hit enter. So as you can see, the installation is in progress, so just give it some time for it to complete. Alright, so now GitLab has successfully been installed, and this is the output we are getting. So here you can see it looks like GitLab has not yet been configured, skipping the upgrade script. Okay, so here you can see, thank you for installing GitLab. GitLab was unable to detect a valid hostname for your instance, so we need to configure a URL for our GitLab instance by setting the external URL variable in this configuration file. All right, then finally we will be able to start our GitLab instance by running this command. All right, so in our next step, we are going to follow these steps and configure GitLab Community Edition. All right, so see you in the next step. After the successful installation of GitLab on Ubuntu 24.04, the next step is to configure gitlab-ce. Now, as you have seen earlier, GitLab stores its configuration information in the gitlab.rb file. So we need to edit this and change a few attributes. So I'm going to use sudo privileges, and I'm going to use the Vim editor to access the configuration file, which is at etc gitlab, then gitlab.rb. Okay, then I'm going to hit enter. So as you can see, we have a number of settings that you can apply. So our main goal here is to change the external _URL attribute. Okay, so here I'm going to edit this, and I'm going to specify my own domain name. So in our case, we're going to have http://gitlab.linuxtechie.org. So be sure to replace this with your own fully qualified domain name. All right, so with that out of the way, I'm going to save the changes, and I'm going to exit the configuration file. All right, then we're going to reconfigure GitLab to apply the changes that we've just made. So I'm going to run the command sudo gitlab-ctl reconfigure like that. Then I'm going to hit enter. All right, so you should get this information or output on your screen as GitLab is being reconfigured. So just give it some time. And there we go. So we have seen that GitLab has successfully been reconfigured as denoted by the last message here. All right, so this has taken a bit of time. So in my case, this has taken around 5 minutes. All right, so now the next step is to log in into the GitLab web interface. But before we do so, we need first of all to get the login credentials. So now, as you can see here towards the tail end, you can see the admin account has been configured with the following details. So the username has been set to root, and the password has been stored to this configuration file here. So has been stored to this file here in plain text. Okay, so now what we need to do is to get this initial root password. Okay, then we are going to change or reset the password later. All right, so now I'm going to display, or I'm going to grab this password using the cat command. So I'm going to run the command cat etc gitlab, then initial root password. Okay, so we get a permission denied error. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to use sudo privileges, and I'm going to use the Vim editor to access the file. So gitlab initial root password. So this is a password that we are interested in. All right, so be sure to copy this password, okay, and save it somewhere. So this is what we'll be using to log in. Okay, so I'm going to just cancel out. Then I'm going to, so this is a password that we are going to use to log in. So be sure to save it somewhere. So I'm going to save it somewhere here on my notepad. So this is the password that we are interested in. Okay. All right. So now the next step is to access the web interface of GitLab, as I've previously mentioned. So now let's do that in a moment. Alright, so now let's access the GitLab web interface, and to do so I'm simply going to type out the URL here. So we have gitlab.linuxtechie.org, then I'm gonna hit enter. Alright, so this is the first screen you're going to get. So this is the login page for GitLab Community Edition, and as you saw earlier, the username is root. And the password is the password that we copied here. So I'm gonna copy this password and then I'm gonna paste it here in the password field. I'm gonna paste it there, and I can check remember me. Then I'm gonna sign in. And upon signing in, you'll be met with this GitLab dashboard. So as you can see, you're now ready to start hosting and creating your projects. So just take some time to go through the left sidebar and see what's in store for you. All right. So as of now, we have managed to successfully install and configure GitLab Community Edition on Ubuntu 24.04. However, at this moment, we still have not secured our site. As you can see here on the URL bar, we can see not secure. And for security reasons, it's always recommended to secure the GitLab instance with an SSL certificate. So in this case, we are going to attempt to install Let's Encrypt SSL certificate to secure our GitLab server. All right, so see you in the next step. In this last step, we are going to configure or enable SSL on our GitLab instance. So once again, I'm going to access the GitLab configuration file using my Vim text editor. So we have etc gitlab.rb like that. So I'm going to provide my sudo password. Okay, so we are back at our configuration file here. So previously we defined the external URL, and this is the URL we used to access the GitLab web interface. Now we are going to search for the Let's Encrypt section. So here I'm going to search for Let's Encrypt like that. And I'm going to hit enter. So this is a section we are interested in. So I'm going to uncomment this. So here I'm going to say Let's Encrypt enable. I'm going to say true. So I'm going to delete nil and provide the value of true. Then I'm going to provide the contact email for Let's Encrypt. So here I'm going to specify it inside the double square brackets. So I'm going to enclose my email inside double single quotes like that. So I'm going to specify admin@linuxtechie.org like that. Okay, so the next setting we are interested in is the auto renew setting. So this will auto renew Let's Encrypt SSL after its expiry date. So once again, I'm going to leave it as true, auto renew true. Then auto renew hour, I'm going to uncomment this as well, and I'm going to leave it as default 3. Okay, then auto renew day of the month, I'm going to just leave it the way it is. So it's going to auto renew on the 4th day of every month. So you can feel free to set it to any value you want. For example, you can have it auto renew at the 7th day of every month. And that's about it for the Let's Encrypt settings. And before I forget and exit the configuration file, you also need to adjust the external URL here from HTTP to HTTPS. Okay. So this should read HTTPS so that you can now start logging in via the safe and secure HTTPS protocol, which will be made possible via the Let's Encrypt SSL certificate. Okay, so now once you're done, now you can save the file. So I'm gonna save the file and I'm gonna exit. And we're going to reconfigure. So I'm going to run sudo gitlab ctl reconfigure, hit enter, and just give it some time for the script to effect the changes that we have just made. Okay, so finally the reconfiguration of GitLab is now complete. And now we can start using SSL certificate with our GitLab instance. So this took quite a while, all right? So in your case, just be patient as the reconfiguration goes along. All right, so now to test our SSL certificate, I'm going to go back to my web browser here, and I'm going to try and access my GitLab instance using HTTPS. So I'm going to type HTTPS. Then /gitlab.linux-techie.org. Then I'm going to hit enter. And as you can see, our instance has now been secured using an SSL certificate. And if you head here on the URL bar, you can see that the connection is secure. So I'm going to click this, so you can see your connection is secure and the certificate is valid. So as you can see, we are using the Let's Encrypt certificate. Okay, so that's about it for this video. We have demonstrated how to install GitLab server on Ubuntu 24.04, and we have lastly enabled SSL on our instance. So that's it, guys, for this lecture. See you in the next video.